Inec had disenfranchised million voters, court alleges. Wow. So how did Inec do this? All right. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has declared that the unlawful and abrupt stoppage of the continuous voters registration (CRV) by the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) on July 31st had disenfranchised millions of eligible potential voters in the 2023 general election. The declaration was made in the suit marked FAH/ABJ/CS/133512022, which was filed before the court by a renowned constitutional lawyer, Chief Michael Zekume's son, and Abubakar Damisa Sani. Justice Inyang Ekwo, in his judgment on Friday, noted that the stoppage of the exercise on July 31st, a period more than 6 months to the poll, was well outside the constitutional requirement. Rather, the court held that the electoral body could only stop the CRB exercise at least 90 days before the next general election scheduled for February 25, 2023. Justice Ekwo said, thus, in my opinion, the intent of the lawmaker is making any law is that any person to whom the responsibility, power, or authority for implementing the law is given must act reasonably in doing so. This means that the power of the defendant to stop the exercise of continuous registration of voters not later than 90 days before the general election must be exercised reasonably. The defendant ended the CRV on 31st July 2022 when the general election by its timetable starts on 25th February 2023. By simple arithmetic, the period between 31st July 2022 and 25th February 2023 is 208 days. In other words, what the defendant is saying in its defense is that it needs to end the CRB exercise on 31st July 2022, which is 208 days from the date of the general election, which is 25th February 2023, at the time it did, so that the permanent voters card will be printed in good time and distributed of same can commence in earnest as what use will ending the CRB exercise if the defendant is not able to meet the deadline stated in Exhibit Inec 3. I cannot agree with the defendant that it needs 208 days to produce permanent voters card. All right. Before making Exhibit Inec 3, the defendant must have satisfied itself of its capacity to produce permanent voters card and distributed same to all registered voters in Nigeria. It is apparent from the affirmance of the defendant that they do not have the equipment that is capable of producing at the complementary level of voters registration. However, the case is the excuse given by the defendant for stopping the CRB on 31st July 2022, thereby depriving the plaintiffs and other Nigerians who are eligible to vote in 2023 general election is not tenable going by the facts of this case. As I look at it now, it is my opinion that the defendant was hasty in stopping the CRB on 31st July 2022 for the general elections that will hold February 25th, 2023 and 11th March 2023, respectively. The case of the plaintiffs, therefore, succeeds on the merit, and I answer their sole question in the negative. A declaration is hereby made that the stoppage of the continuous voters registration by the defendant on the 31st of July 2022 amounts to disenfranchisement of citizens who have attained or will attain the age of 18 years, all right, before 28th day of November 2022, being 90 days to the date of the general election scheduled to hold on 25th February 2023, Justice Ekwo held. So the court, however, declined to issue a mandatory order of injunction to compel Inec, which was cited as the sole defendant in the matter, to forthwith in line with Section 9, subsection 6, and then Section 10, subsection 1, Section 12, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act of 2022 to extend CRB exercise till November 2027, which will be 90 days to the general election. Justice equally refused to order Inec to allow citizens who have the temporary voters card to vote in the forthcoming election in 2023. They, having been duly registered as voters but could not be given their permanent voters card (PVC) due to the stoppage of the registration and collection of permanent voters card by Inec on July 31, 2023, contrary to the provisions of sections 9, subsection 6, 10, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act 2022. Wow. So this is what it means. So the INEC chairman, all right, so Mahmoud Yakubu, stopped the registration exercise July 31st, 2022, which is 208 days to election. Meanwhile, the Electoral Act states that it should be 90 days, all right, before the election. And that 90 days is so that people who are eligible or who will be at the age 18 as at November 27, 2022, that is 90 days to the election, would have been able to register and have their voters card. And the excuse INEC is giving here is that they stopped it earlier so that they will be able to produce and deliver the permanent voters card to the people that have registered. All right, and that it would be of no need, all right, to register people when you will not be able to provide the voters card. I don't understand what INEC did here. So at the end of this case, all right, the people that filed this case is led by Chief Mike Ozekomesan, all right, against the INEC. So they are the plaintiff, while INEC here is the defendant in this case. And then Chief Justice Ekwo now held all of this as contravention against the sections of the Electoral Act that governs how INEC should conduct voters registration. All of those were contravened and violated. So even after submitting to that, Justice Ekwo has also failed to instruct INEC to go ahead and do further registration so that more people can register. Yeah, so that is what we have here. And for the fact that the Chief Justice failed to instruct INEC to take further actions, the case is now somehow closed without any recommendation on what INEC should do to help salvage the situation. Nothing was recommended here. All right, it's quite unfortunate that INEC had disenfranchised people, and the implication is that a lot of people will not be able to vote, and they are actually eligible to vote and they are of age to vote. But now INEC did not allow them to register. Is it a genuine excuse, or INEC is working for political bigwigs that are looking for a way to disenfranchise Nigerians? Here, INEC chairman is here to be trusted. We don't know whether the face he's giving the public is exactly what is inside of him to practice, or there's other hidden agenda that we cannot tell. But that is the situation we have, that for stopping the voters registration earlier than necessary is contravention of the guidance from the Electoral Act, and it has disenfranchised millions of Nigerians of the opportunity to vote. That is the implication of what INEC has done under the leadership of Mahmoud Yakubu. So thank you for listening, and let's have your comment as well.